Dr. Rock, welcome to the show. How does it feel to be the rock star you are today?
I feel amazing. There's this Imagine Dragons song, Brett, called I'm on
It,
Top of the World.
oh,
And
yeah.
yeah, we listened to,
I'm on top of the world. Hey, well, let's unwrap some of that
yeah.
as well, too, and figure out, hey, if we can share any of this with the listeners out there, hey, that would be wonderful. Somebody else could be on top of the world just listening to the rock show here. So tell us first a little bit about your medical journey, your
Yes,
journey in medicine, and then
yes.
what led you to integrate entrepreneurship into your career.
I'm a trained internist, internal medicine, take care of adults. And I was working in the hospital. So when I finished training, I didn't know what I wanted to do exactly. I thought I wanted to be a kidney doctor, and I went to kidney fellowship for a year and really quickly realized that I didn't want to do that. And so I went back to working in the hospital. That's kind of what you learn to do in residency training. And so I was good at that. And what do you take care of in the hospital? People who come in with acute issues, heart attacks, strokes, complications of those things. And at that time, I was blessed and fortunate to meet my wife in medical school. We got married, we started having kids. Um, I was like a future patient of myself, I would say. Like I would pick up fast food on the way home, never exercised, uh, weighed 75 pounds more than I weigh now. I went to my doctor when my wife was pregnant with our third kid, which was somewhat unexpected. So I was like already freaking out. And he told me I had prediabetes and high cholesterol and high blood pressure, and that my weight was such that I now had obesity. Or and I was sort of like, well, what, now what? Like I'm already overwhelmed. And so that's when I started meditating. I was so overwhelmed. I was so stuck in my head and I was so unhappy. Meditation was this kind of, I would say, last ditch effort. Somebody told me about it at a CME talk, a medical education talk. And I said, I guess what else? I could try this. And I started parking my car near our house at the end of the day before I would come in. And I would use the Headspace app. This was like about 10 years ago. So there weren't many choices, but Headspace was there. And I would just hit play. And I did this. I said, I'm going to do this for a month. And within that month, my family, my wife noticed that I was coming home. I was in a better mood. I was more present. I was working at Kaiser, and they said, we don't have this job, lifestyle doctor. Now, there's a society, American College of Lifestyle Medicine, and I just discovered that, and there's a board certification. I got certified in 2018, and I started a program at the hospital I was at. We were basically, what is lifestyle medicine? It's using lifestyle changes as medicine to address the root cause of 80% of the chronic disease that we take care of. 80% of the chronic disease we take care of, which is 80% of the healthcare expenditure, which last year was like $4.5 trillion, is preventable and reversible with lifestyle changes, the right dose of lifestyle changes. And so, but we don't have a system that is set up to support people in making comprehensive lifestyle changes. I started my own company. That's my logo back there if you're watching on YouTube. That's a fist bump. It's called Rock Your Life. And it's really a lifestyle medicine program. I run health groups. They're called tribes. I run one for people who are interested in wanting support and being plant-based. So it's a plant-based tribe. And then I also run a men's tribe. Actually, we're meeting tonight. So that's called the Peak Potential, Men's Peak Potential Tribe. I actually had money to start investing. It was like 2010, and it was such a great time to start investing.
Hmm.
And I was a fellow, and then I was a young attending. And when you live as a resident and a fellow, and if you keep your level of spending, we didn't have kids yet, then you can actually there's money you can start putting um, towards investments. So I didn't have a very complicated strategy, though. I learned basic things that buy index funds and buy, a few name companies that you like. And I'm a tech guy, so I bought some tech companies, and then I would just put my. So that's been turns out a very good. I mean, that decade and a half has been a very that's been a very good strategy. I mean, in terms of invest, I mean, I'm not very complicated with my investing. I know you guys, you work with physicians who do real estate investing. I don't have any direct real estate investments. I have my primary residence. But one thing I have a lot of friends who are doctors who are involved in real estate investing, and it seems to me, it seems like like it would add a whole other layer of time and commitment. I know there's different, maybe we can talk about this. There's different models, like in which ways you can do it. But I guess my experience was like when my parents like owned a property, and then they would get called on the weekend that the washing machine's broken, and like
Hmm.
my mom would call the repairman, and like that's how my parents managed everything. So maybe that's partly where that's my like view of it. But I'm always had this story that I've told myself, like, I don't have the time or the bandwidth to do something like that. My friends who are really busy physicians who are doing it, I ask them, why are you doing it? Because it's like, how are you adding this on top of everything else? And it's the financial freedom that they're like building towards. So I see the kind of allure of that. What are the storylines that I've been telling myself? What
Yep.
are the assumptions and the stories that I have? And you said it already. You said it always starts with your mindset. And I have a good friend who's a health coach, Charles Innes, and he says the way he defines mindset is it's your story and your focus.
Hmm.
So it's the story you're telling yourself and what you choose to focus on. And I'm thinking about my mindset, and the story I'm telling myself is that I'm saying it out loud. Wow, this is going to be onerous, and there's going to be a lot of like time and work that I don't have time for. And then my focus is on all the downsides.
Hmm.
I mean, like so you can deconstruct that, and then if then I have to ask myself, is this something I do want to explore, or is there
Hmm.
downsides to being open or curious about exploring it? Probably not.
Yeah.
Then I have to dissect out, well, okay, what's a different story I could tell? Huh, like you're saying, like there could be a way to do this that does work with my schedule and my time and my and then what's this focus? Well, I could focus on all the positives, like you're saying, building generational wealth, like my own security and like I mean I know my friends, they're really keen on the fact that they're buying back their time.
Hmm.
That like they don't have to at a certain point that like work will be option, their day job will be optional. Three most important questions. You're going to take a piece of paper, just and put it landscape sideways, and split it into three columns. On one column at the top, you're going to write experiences. On the middle column, you're going to write growth. And the third column, you're going to write contribution. And the first column, you're asking yourself, what are the experiences I want to have in this life? Right now, if you were to ask me right now, what do I want to experience in this life? Where do I want to go? What do I want to experience? Like, I want to, I'm learning how to play guitar. So I said, one of my experiences, I want to jam on the guitar with my friends. Like that's when I had this vision of learning the guitar, it was like, oh, so that eventually I could just be like playing and riffing off things. And
Hmm.
so that's on my experience list. What is the growth list? The growth list is what are the ways I want to get better in my life? What are the skills I want to learn? I want to learn this language. I want to be a better public speaker. That's on my growth list. I'm going to join Toastmasters, actually. That's
Oh,
my plan
Toastmasters.
for that. Yeah. I found one nearby that I'm going to join.
Yeah.
Um, and then the last column is contribution. So how do I want to serve? How do I want to help others? And that could be to your family, to your community, to any way you define it, actually. Um, and I look at that list every day when I'm brushing my teeth. Why? Because, this is how our brain prioritizes things. This is how our brain knows what's important. This is how our brain knows what problems to solve or what it should be trying to figure out in the background. It's what we tell it it's important. So if I read that every day, then I'm telling my brain, oh, I've got to figure out how I'm going to be a better public speaker. We have to figure out how I'm going to be a better athlete and crush these obstacle course races or whatever it is I put up there. That's on there. So so I remind myself of those things every day. And I think, anyway, that's a great exercise